Welcome back, it's brew day in the brew corner, and today I'm doing my dry malt extract brew, or partial mash as it's sometimes called. And today's beer is inspired by a beer brewed, or rather a barley wine, brewed by BrewDog. It's called AB20. Now I'm not brewing a barley wine, not at 14.2% I'm not. What I'm going to do is take inspiration from this and create maybe a 4.65% beer. That's what I'm hoping for. So I don't know if you know, but BrewDog actually publish a lot of their recipes online. I don't know if they publish them all, because I know in Australia, BrewDog Australia, they do a beer called XPA, and I can't find it published on the BrewDog website. So maybe it's just BrewDog UK that publish them, but either way, that's amazing, because typically for a brewer, their recipe book is top secret. You know, you don't give away your recipes, but BrewDog do, and they update it regularly. All their beers are online, and they tell you how to brew it, all the ingredients, fermentation tips, everything. So I was looking for a beer that used double roasted crystal, because I have some, and this one came up. So I'm taking inspiration and making my own version of this, but it's not going to be a barley wine, it's going to be a nice 4.5% beer. Okay, so let me go through the ingredients first of all. Specialty malts are going to be, as per the recipe, 200 grams of crystal and 200 grams of the DRC, the double roasted crystal. That's exactly as per the recipe. The recipe also asks for flaked oats, 1.2 kilograms, which to you and me is just porridge oats. You can go to your local supermarket, get some porridge oats, and they will work perfectly. However, I was on a homebrew shop website to buy all my ingredients, and I found this, which is oat malt extract. And I didn't know they did this. It's a Muntons, so it's good quality, and it's a 1.5 kilogram tin. So that's what I'm going to be using instead of the porridge. Now, just so you're aware, they've asked for 1.2 kilograms of flaked oats. This is 1.5 kilograms, but actually it's not enough. And the reason is 20% of this is water, and of the actual malt itself, only 40% is oat, 60% is barley malt. So I did the maths, I got my calculator out. Okay, 1.5 kilograms less 20%, that's 1.2, which is exactly what's on here, but only 40% of that is the oats, which comes to about 480 grams. Well, it does, 480 grams. So it's a lot short of the recipe, but I've never used it before, and I thought that's what I'm going to use. Now, I'm doing a partial boil, so this is going to go in at the end. What I'm actually going to use at the start of the boil is 1.5 kilograms of a medium dry extract, and then this will go in right at the end just to pasteurize. But it only means I've got 700 grams of fermentables in this tin, because I don't think oats are fermentable. So what I'm going to add as well right at the end of the boil is another 500 grams of dry malt extract, and that should give me a fermentable weight of about 2.7 kilograms, which should give me about 4.5% in the fermenter, or coming out of the fermenter at the end. And I'm going to be bottle conditioning using sugar to carbonate, so it's going to be around about 5%, I think, or at least that's what I hope anyway. Now for the hops, I'm following their suggestion, and I'm using Magnum hops. They only said to use 2%, but I'm not too sure about that. Sorry, 10.2%. I like mine a little bit bitter, so I'm using 20. Double the amount they say, and this should give me IBUs of about 23. Again, I'm only taking inspiration from this, but what interested me in this recipe was their flavour ingredient, because you don't add flavour hops. All you add is the bittering hop. What they add for flavour is coffee. So they recommend 60 grams of coffee beans that you add in the middle of the boil for flavour. Now, I've been doing some research because I've never actually brewed with coffee. And the problem with coffee is that it's oily. And they actually do mention this. One of their brewers' tips is to use very dry coffee beans, like Sumatran ones. This way your head retention will not be affected by the oils from the beans. Now, I had a look online, and Sumatran coffee costs, just for a few hundred grams, costs me more than all of the other ingredients put together. So I've looked for an alternative, and what I read was that light roasted coffee beans don't have as much oil as your darker roasted coffee beans. The longer you roast them, the more oil comes out. So I've purchased this. It's called Brazilian Santos coffee beans. It's from a roastery in Scotland, I believe. And according to the back, it's a very lightly roasted coffee bean. And the taste notes, it says here, balanced aroma, smooth, slightly sweet, mild flavour. So that's what I'm going to be using. But I also watched some YouTube videos. Mostly it was, I think it's called the Homebrew Challenge, and he brewed a coffee porter or a coffee stout. Now, he didn't add his coffee with the boil, and I've read elsewhere that sometimes that can lead to quite an astringent type taste. So what I'm going to do is follow his guidance. I'm going to brew a French press, 500-600 mils of water. I'm going to use, I might use the 60, well maybe 50 grams, and brew basically a cafetiere, 500-600 mils of coffee, and then I'll add that to the fermenter and then transfer on top of it. So that's what I'm going to do, and hopefully I won't get an oily coffee, and hopefully it won't affect my head retention of the final beer. So we'll have to wait and see. So that's what I'm going to do, about 50 grams of this in about half a litre, let it brew, and then add it to the fermenter and transfer on top before I top up with water, pitch the yeast, and you know the rest. So interesting beer, I think. Why don't you stick around and watch me brew it? Well, I don't know if you can see from the temperature, but we're up to 70 degrees, and that should be ideal for steeping my specialty malts. So just to recap, that's 200 grams of crystal and 200 grams of the DRC, the double roasted crystal, and this is going to go in now, and it will stay there for about half an hour. So I'm just going to bounce it up and down, get all the colour out, and then just leave that there. There's a false bottom to stop it scorching, although it wouldn't scorch, because what I've done is I've turned the temperature off completely. I've turned the heater off because, well, based on the last brew I did, this is very good at retaining the heat, so I didn't really need to keep heating it when I'm steeping the grains. So I've now got half an hour to wait, and I thought, you know what, there's my coffee ready to go in the fermenter. But I thought, I've never tried this coffee before, so I'm going to make a coffee. Got my cup, got my AeroPress, one of the best inventions ever. I love my AeroPress. And I've already ground the coffee, I've already brewed the coffee. I saved you my exercise. It wasn't a happy sight, so I ground some about 14 grams of coffee, and it's been brewed. So I will now press it down and we'll see what this coffee tastes like. It says it's mild, it's sweet, it's got low astringency, or not astringency, that low acid. I usually like a bit of acid in my coffee, but there we go, that's finished. But for this beer, I want it to be on the sweeter side, so hopefully this will do the trick. Right, well, it looks like a coffee. It smells like a coffee. The actual beans themselves, when you ground them up, it smelled absolutely beautiful. This is 90 degrees, brewed at 90 degrees. Ooh, it is very mild. Maybe I should have put more in, actually. I don't know if that's going to be enough to flavour my beer, to be honest. Very mild coffee. And this is 14 grams in about 200 mils, 220 mils. Maybe I will put some in the boil as well, because there's none of that like astringent taste to it. It is a very mild, sweet coffee. Maybe I'll get away with putting some in the actual boil. I have to decide. But it's a nice coffee though. Like a morning or breakfast coffee. Nothing too biting. Mind you, to tell you the truth, come breakfast I'm ready for a really strong coffee, you know, but this is more like just like your mild breakfast type of coffee. Right, I'm going to have to make a decision, so I'll get back to you later when this is steeped and it's ready to start brewing with the malt, and then I'll make a decision about whether I need to add a little bit more coffee, probably at the start of the boil, I would think. Well, not the start of the boil, midway through, just like BrewDog say in the recipe. This is 50 grams, so I don't know, I might just take a little taste of this and see if it's stronger. But if it's this strength, I don't think it'd be strong enough to brew the beer. Not to brew the beer, but to flavour it. We will wait and see. Okay, I'll come back to you later. Okay, I've had a move around. I thought I'll put you can just about see the top of it, can't you, the brew kettle. So I've put it here because I think it'll be easier for you to see what I'm doing. Basically, it's had half an hour now. That wort looks a lovely brown colour, and now what I'm going to do is just let all of that drain, and as that's draining I'm going to bring this up to the boil. And I've decided, I was unsure about whether to use salts, but as I have very soft water and this is more of a brown ale type beer, I thought I'd just add in the salts. based on the calculations in that book I've got about brewing beers like those you buy. So this is the gypsum, and that's a teaspoon of that, and this is the Epsom salts, and it is just half a teaspoon of that. And then when this comes close to the boil, switch it on. When it comes close to the boil, I will then add the dry malt extract, but I'll just let that drain so I can get as much out as I possibly can. Some people like to sparge, I don't bother really. Just leave that to drain, and I'll come back when it's at boiling or near boiling point. Well, it's getting close to the boil now. It's at 95 degrees, so I'm going to take the top off. You'd never brew with the lid on. There's volatile compounds that form, and they can give you beer off flavours. You've got to allow them to evaporate out. And I'm going to add the 1.5 kilograms of dry malt. This is that super malt again. It doesn't clump up. So it's not meant to. Didn't last time. Let's see. Let's pop that in. There we go. It's not too bad. Yeah, it's alright. It hasn't clumped up in the kettle though. That's the main thing. So put that to one side. And now we've got this one. It's double bagged. Cut this right across. Just dump it all in. There we go. This isn't the best day actually to be doing a brew because it's absolutely blowing a gale outside, which means I can't open the door, so the garage is going to get a bit steamed up, but it'll be okay. It's not cold. In fact, this winter's been amazingly mild. It's hardly ever got below, I would say, 5 degrees during the day. Now typically this time of year, February, you're looking at 1 or 2 degrees high during the day. So it's been very mild. I think today's about 9 degrees, and it's usually kept around 7 to 10 degrees. But of course it makes it very wet. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up to the boil, and all I have to do then, of course, is just to add the hops, and we'll let it boil for 1 hour, and that's it. So it's a simple beer. There's no additions. I've decided I'm not going to use any more coffee. I'm just going to make it like this and just see how it comes out. I can always tweak it later if I want to make it again, add more coffee or whatever. Okay, so that's it, and I'll come back in 1 hour. Well, I'm waiting for an hour. This is hard work, this home brewing hobby, isn't it? I've got a really good strong rolling boil there now, and there's really nothing for me to do except maybe have a beer. It's a great hobby, isn't it? You can get out of the house, into your man cave. Yeah, love, I'm working hard, I'm brewing a beer. Oh. So I'm sat here for an hour, and I thought, as it's a BrewDog inspired beer, I'll drink a BrewDog Punk IPA. So this is, as it says on there, the beer that started it all. It is in the UK anyway. Sort of like, it was quite a monumental beer when it came out, and it's often credited with starting the craft beer movement in the UK. So let me just pour this. It's a 660ml bottle. It's been quite a while since I've had one of these actually. Yeah, the hops. It's all about the hops with BrewDog. Well, for the Punk IPA. Obviously it's not for this beer I'm brewing today. But yeah, those classic American hops. West Coast hops. Well, cheers anyway. Hope you're enjoying watching my brew day. To be honest, it's probably a little bit tame by today's standards, but when this first came out onto the market, it was a game changer, you know. Now in America that's probably like your average beer. But in the UK, it was a completely new beer. And it's still a classic though. It's still a classic. Right, well, I'm going to enjoy this. Like I say, I haven't got much to do. The hops are in. It's got a really nice strong rolling boil. I'm going to have to try and periodically just open the door and hold it, because the wind is so strong it will just, I can't just leave the door ajar, it'll have it ripped off the hinges. So I'll just have to periodically just keep opening the door and try and get some of the steam out. Gonna have to put my cap on as well, otherwise all my hair gets sopping wet through. But there you go, eh? Life is a home brewer. Problems, eh? I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to enjoy this. Well, that's it. Brew day's over. I'm about to turn off the heat. I've already removed the hops. Just finishing off a beer. This isn't the BrewDog. My local shop just down the road, they had a deal on these red stripe lagers. £3 for 4, and usually they're about £5. So I thought, well, I might as well. So there's been a bit of a change of plan. I was still unsure about the coffee because it's so mild. So what I've actually done is I poured in the half a litre of coffee about halfway through the boil, like what the BrewDog recipe suggests. Halfway through the boil you add the coffee. But I was still a bit unsure, so, and I don't know if this has worked or not, I added 50 grams of ground coffee in a hop sock, and I put that in there as well, and they've been boiling for about half an hour. I removed that hop sock as well, so it should be coffee like now. I haven't tasted it. What we've got to do now is put in all the extra malts. I'll start with this one. This is again a medium. I don't know what the difference is between medium and light, to be honest, because you know my experimental brew, I brewed that when I'm using the hop extracts instead of boiling. I used medium malt in that, and to be honest it just looks like a pale ale, like a golden ale. I thought medium was like an amber, give it an amber colour, but it doesn't. So I don't know what medium means really, but anyway, that's in there. And then of course we've got the oats, which has been soaking, in fact it's dripping, it's been soaking in hot water. Can you see this, or is it off camera? I'm just going to take the lid off. This has been soaking for about 15 or 20 minutes in well, very hot water. It was almost boiling. There we go. And I'm just going to pour this into here. I've taken the obviously I've turned the heat off, so there's no danger of it scorching because this is thick and it's just going to sink to the bottom. So you don't really want to be pouring this in when it's still on the heat. Try and scoop as much as I can out. I've already got a hot kettle which I'm going to use to dilute whatever's left and get as much out as I possibly can. Okay, give that a mix. And then with a kettle, give that a stir and get everything off the sides. We want as much of that malt as possible, the oats and the barley malt, as much as possible. Get it all. I'm hoping I can still hold this. Good job I used to be a chef and my fingers are used to being burnt because I haven't got a Radney about. Blimey. Oh, that's hot. Oh. Like I say, it's a good job I used to be a chef. Right, that's it. Brew day's over. There it is. There's my works. What I'm going to do now, and I don't need to show you this, I don't think, is I'm just going to transfer this into a fermenter, and I'll top it up to 23 litres. And it's still going to be too hot for pitching the yeast. This is just off the boil, so it'll probably be, well, this evening, probably more like tomorrow morning. It'll be at room temperature, and then tomorrow morning I'll pitch the yeast and start fermenting, and we'll see what it tastes like when it's brewed. Now, I am a little bit curious. So, as this spoon is sanitised, I'm just going to pour a little bit of the hot wort into my coffee cup and just give it a taste. I mean, it's going to be strong because this is concentrated bitterness and everything. We dilute this once it's in the fermenter, but it's going to give me an idea. I'm picking up a little bit of the coffee, you know, with that 100 grams that's in there. I should be. But really sweet malt, toffee, caramel. That'll be from obviously the specialty malts, because I find that, as I said, that medium malt it's quite light, to be honest. Oh, I think this might be a good beer. Right, I'm going to go and get me fermenter. It's already been sanitised. It's in the house. I'll go and get that, and I'll transfer this into the fermenter, top it up with cold water, and then, as I say, I'll probably have to leave it till tomorrow morning before pitching the yeast. But hey, thanks for watching. So that's it, a complete brew day. Now, it did take me a little bit longer than usual, simply because I'm videoing. Something like this would usually take a couple of hours. It's taken me about 3. And that's why I like it, because it's so convenient. You're brewing a bag, which I've done. Your all grain. I mean, they make good beers, don't get me wrong, but it takes twice as long, and it's not often I've got 4 or 5 hours to spend on a beer. And of course, with all the filming and everything, it's probably even longer than that. So this is a really nice way of brewing a beer. It's a little bit better than a kit beer, but it's convenient time-wise. So I'll put this, I'll start fermenting this tomorrow. In a couple of weeks I'll bottle, and then we'll do a taste test a week or 2 after that. So where are we now? Beginning of February. So beginning of mid-March we'll do a taste test of this. So thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you again in the next video. I'm going to enjoy my 4-pack of Red Stripe. Bye bye for now.